Should you take mortgage forbearance? Ever since the pandemic broke, lenders, both on the residential such as your home and on the commercial such as rental properties or commercial spaces or businesses, have offered forbearance to their borrowers, which is the option to skip payments. In this video, I'm going to discuss the reasons why you should consider taking forbearance and also the reasons why you may want to consider not taking it. But I'm also going to discuss the potential pitfalls in the process of taking it. Finally, at the end, I'm going to discuss potential repayment options of those mortgage payments that you missed or skipped. Hi, my name is Nick and welcome to Mystery of Money. On this channel, we talk about all sorts of financial topics. First, let's make sure you don't miss any financial videos and hit that subscribe button below. Two, let's make sure other people get to see this video so they can gain value by hitting that like button. Now that that's done, let's get into the video. Back in March, with the passing of the CARES Act, the mortgage companies were encouraged to allow their borrowers to skip 6 months or 12 months of payments, depending on what they needed. This was done without documentation or anything else other than you had to attest that you were dealing with financial hardship that would not allow you to make those normal payments. That was it. No financial records, no proof of employment or anything. You just had to attest that you were facing financial hardship. There were some borrowers that contacted institutions simply to get information. Like, hey, I may be losing my job. What are my options? Due to the high volumes that were coming into those call centers, some people were inadvertently put into these programs of forbearance. Now it's a virtual rabbit hole trying to get back to those banks to undo that process in order to make the payments. There were also borrowers that looked at forbearance as a way of extra stimulus payment or a way of saving for a rainy day, calling up the mortgage company saying, I can't make my payments, and then saving that money for down the road if something were to happen. So the reasons why you should take forbearance, and really, in my mind, in my opinion, there's only one. You had a substantial loss of income to which you cannot recover to make those payments. You know, if you were a 2-income household and it took 2 incomes to make your mortgage payment, one of you lost your job, then that would be a valid reason to use forbearance. Barring any other options, if you have savings or if you can manage to get by till one of you gets another job, then maybe it'd be best interest to not do forbearance and to try and struggle through. In my mind, in my opinion, that's really the only reason is to ask to have your mortgage payments skipped, is the reason that you cannot physically afford those payments. So that would be on the residential side, which would be your primary residence or where you live. On the business side, if you have a rental property or if you have a commercial space that you rent out, the reason that you would want to call your bank and maybe possibly skip those payments would be that your tenant cannot pay their payments. That would be a reason to call your lender and say, hey, can I skip this month or 2 months or whatever until my tenant can pay? If you own a multifamily unit, right here is the provision that says if you take forbearance money and you skip those payments, that you are not allowed to evict them during that whole forbearance period. And let's say they just stop paying or can't pay, you cannot legally evict them under the CARES Act. And some channels that have said, just call your lender, take forbearance, invest that money in the stock market. You are attesting that you cannot make those payments. You know, you're stating on a document, most of the time a legal document or on a recorded line, that you cannot financially make those payments. You are essentially committing fraud by saying, I can't make those payments, but you really could. So that leads me into the topic of reasons not to take it. Is number one, if you don't have a loss of income, if you haven't lost tenants or they're paying, don't take mortgage forbearance. Ultimately, it will more than likely affect you borrowing money in the future. And they haven't said how these missed payments are going to show in your credit report. Are they going to show as missed? Are they going to show as late? Either one of those is bad. When you look at it from a credit standpoint of lending money, is if you have late payments, you're going to have to justify why you have those late payments. And a lot of people were caught off guard. In May, when rates started to drop, they wanted to refinance, only to find out they couldn't because they had been on forbearance. If you call your lender and say you missed your payment, you were on forbearance because you couldn't afford the payment, what is their likelihood that they want to either lend you more money or refinance current debt if you couldn't afford that payment? If you absolutely need it, then by all means, you have to take it. You don't have another choice, and you're probably not looking at refinancing anyway. You're just trying to make it day by day. And on the business side, lenders are going to be more meticulous with your financials and looking at your financial picture when they're looking to lend you more money. If you called up your lender 3 months ago and said, I can't pay my payments, my tenants aren't paying, I need to skip those payments or move them out, more than likely it's going to be hard for you to get more money from that lender to buy more properties, expand your business, things like that, because they're already saying if you're struggling with this amount of debt, by lending you more, will you struggle more? You couldn't pay your payments payments then, but you need more money to buy more things, you're going to have higher payments. Ways that you may be required to pay these loans back. There hasn't been formal guidance that came out on the Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac front that said how these forbearances are going to be handled in the future. They would potentially take your payment and split it over a time period. Now, with the forbearance going up to a year, let's say for an example, your mortgage payment is $500 and you skip it for 1 year. That's $6,000 that you're going to have to pay back in the future. It's not a subsidy or anything like that. You're just putting your mortgage on hold. It will continue to accrue interest, and you will owe that interest and principal at the end of that period. What they may do is, if your mortgage is $500 and you skipped it for a year, they may require you to sign a paper saying, I will pay this money back, the $6,000, over a 12-month period, which would make your mortgage $1,000 for a 1-year period. The second option, they may be able to extend your actual maturity of your loan. So if you had a 30-year mortgage, you skipped a year, they could theoretically move it to 31 years. Now, on the business side, more than likely what they're going to do is, if you took 3 months, 6 months of forbearance, that interest accrued during that time. If you skip 3 months, that interest accrued, you will pay that interest back out of your next few payments first. All the interest will be paid first. Once it's caught up, then your amortized payment will continue. That's one option, is that you will catch up all that interest and then catch it back on principal. The second option is they will extend your note or your promissory note longer, a few months. It's by doing that, more than likely it's going to cost additional money because they're going to have to make all new documents. They're probably going to have to credit underwrite it again because they're essentially lending you more money or extending your period of time. So be prepared to answer those financial questions as to what your financial performance did and how you were affected. I hope that you found value in this video. If you did, do me a favor and hit that like button so other people can get value. If you want more videos like this on financial topics, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have a great day.